Hi folks, Gary here at Royal LePage Sussex, and welcome to my real estate review for North Vancouver for the year 2024. Well, it has been a very interesting year where after years of experiencing dramatically increased interest rates in the preceding years, Bank of Canada decided partway through the year, halfway actually, to decrease the interest rates. So let's take a look and see how it shook out. All right, so for looking at sales here, we've got detached in the green. We entered the year at 712 sales. That was 2.7% more than last year, but fewer than 2022 and 29% below the 10-year average. And then looking at apartments, we ended the year at 1,071. So that was a slight decrease from 2023 and quite a bit fewer than 2022 and 10% below the 10-year average. With townhouses, we came in at 358. So that was about a 6% increase over the previous year, but a drop of 7% in the 10-year average. Okay, looking at new listings, in all three categories, we had more listings at the end of the year than in previous years. So for detached, we ended at 1,529 new listings. That was an increase of 15.7% from the previous year and even more than 2022, but 9% below the 10-year average. With apartments, there were 2,164 new listings. That was an increase of 22.5% from the previous year and an increase of 13% over the 10-year average. With townhouses, there were 750 new listings, and this should be an increase of 6% in the 10-year average and about 32% more than 2023. Okay, so this is the total inventory at the end of the year. So we ended 2024 with 269 listings. That was 26.9% higher than we ended 2023, and we're about 8% above the 10-year average. With apartments, there were 313 listings. That was an increase of 33.8% over the previous year and an increase of 28% in the 10-year average. And then finally, with townhouses, there were 105 listings at the end of the year, an increase of about 48% from 2023 and about 25% above the 10-year average. Okay, so next we're going to look at the sales to active listings ratio. So this gives us a good idea of the relationship between supply, that's active listings, and sales, which is demand. So as we entered 2024, all three categories were in an upward movement into a higher seller's market. So detached was imbalanced and it moved up into sellers, and the other two categories did as well. But when we hit the midpoint of the year, all three categories fell back into a balanced market and then a slight uptick at the end. Okay, so before we look and see what happened with prices, I just want to show you the Bank of Canada bank rate. So as I said, we entered the year with dramatically higher interest rates at 5%. And then in June, Bank of Canada reduced the rates 5 times for a total of 1.75%. And so usually when we see interest rates going down, we expect to see prices going up. So let's take a look and see how that affected prices. So here there's a distinctive pattern that you'll notice going back, say, 23 years. It's especially well illustrated for detached. You can see that in 2022, early part of the year, prices went up quite dramatically, reached a peak in March, came down for the balance of the year, and then 2023 prices went up again, and then fell back towards the end of the year. And so for 2024, prices increased to a high of June of 2.305 million. So this is below the peak that we saw in March of 2022. And then they fell back again. So we ended the year 2.5% below the year over year. Okay, and then with townhouses, same sort of pattern there. It reached a high in April 2022, fell back down again, up again in early 23, and then in 24 it increased. Actually, it exceeded the peak that we saw in April 22, and then it fell back down again. So we entered the year at 0.8% year over year. And then finally, similarly with apartments, reached a high in May of 2022, back down again towards the rest of 2022, up in 2023, and flattened out. And then 2024, it increased slightly. The peak of that year being 824,500, so just a little bit below the peak in 2022, and then ease back again. So at the end of the year there for apartments, we're up 0.6% in the year over year. So interestingly enough, I showed you how interest rates started to go down in June, but in all three categories, actually prices went down as well. So highly unusual. Okay, so next I just wanted to show you two price forecasts. The first one here is from the BC Real Estate Association. So in terms of number of sales, they're predicting that detached will have an 18.7% increase. Apartments should see 17.3% increase in the number of sales, and townhouses will be up 20%. In terms of their prediction of average price, single detached, they feel will go up 0.6% in 2025, apartments up 3.6%, and townhouses up 2.7%. So they're predicting a pretty strong market. And then we'll take a look at the Royal LePage prediction. Now, this again is for all of Greater Vancouver. And sorry, just got something going on here. So with Vancouver, Royal LePage is predicting single detached homes to go up 2% during the year, and condominiums, which includes apartments and townhouses, an increase of 4.5%. Okay, so there you have it. We've got Bank of Canada interest rate reductions, which really didn't help fuel the market. In fact, buyers didn't really seem to be aware of the fact that the interest rates were going down. At least they didn't react accordingly. Maybe they were waiting for further decreases, which we're expected to see in 2025. So either way, it's created a more favorable environment for buyers. And at the same time, some of the federal government initiatives like longer amortization rates and smaller deposits are also going to create a better environment for buyers. So I'm feeling that they will show up in numbers. And so for 2025, I'm predicting that for North Vancouver, we're going to be seeing favorable activity and solid price gains. So with that, I'd like to wish you a happy, prosperous, and healthy new year. Take care. Bye now.